"You hold Willie and I'll make a path to the back porch," I said. I pushed through the sticker bushes and vines, mashing them down and breaking off branches till there was a clear path to the back of the house. It was dark and damp back there. You couldn't even see the sky through the overgrown trees. The tiny porch leaned slightly, like at any minute it could fall right off the back of the house. The steps leading up to it were loose and rotten. One of them broke all the way through. The door screen dangled by one hinge. "Come on," I called to Toby. He and Willie came around the corner of the house and stopped. "No way, Georgina," Toby said. "We can't put Willie in there." "Listen, Toby," I said. "This is the best place. Nobody will see him, and he won't get wet if it rains. And besides, he won't be here long." I watched Toby's face, but he didn't look convinced. "And we'll come and stay with him after school and all," I added. Toby swiped the tears that he had started. "You're mean," he said. "Darn. Why do you have to go and say that? I sure didn't want to hear it, because that's exactly how I was feeling. Mean. Toby, listen." I put both hands on the shoulders and looked him square in the eye. "Aren't you tired of living in the car?" He hung his head and nodded a tiny little bit. "Don't you want to have a real place to live, with walls and beds and a bathroom and all?" He nodded again. "Then we need to help Mama get some money. And this is the only thing I can think of. Can you think of another way?" I bent down and tried to look him in the eye again, but his head was hanging too low. All I could see was his long, dirty hair all tangled up and ratty looking. "Then we got to do this. We'll take good care of Willie, and we'll take him right back just as soon as we can. And then we'll get the reward money, and everything will be good." I jiggled Toby's shoulders. "Okay," I added. I knew Toby didn't believe me, because I wasn't sure I believed myself. That old tapping feeling was getting bigger in my head, and I was thinking maybe I was messing up, and I was thinking of how I wished I could go back in time for the hour before or the day before the week before. But I knew I couldn't do that. I was there behind that awful house with that cute little dog looking at me, and I knew it was up to me to make everything turn out good like I had planned. I took the string leash from Toby and led Willie up the creaky steps to the porch. "This isn't so bad," I called out to Toby. The top half of the porch had been screened in once, but now what the left of the rusty old screen hung in tatters. Leaves and pine needles had blown in, covered the floor, settling in the corners in damp, moldy piles. I pushed some of the wet leaves aside, trying to make a clean spot. Then I knelt down and took Willie's head in both of my hands. "Don't be scared, okay?" I said. We'll be back real soon, and everything will be fine." Then I rubbed my nose back and forth against his, an Eskimo kiss. Willie rested his chin in my hands and gazed up at me like he believed every word I said. "What if he gets hungry?" Toby called from the bottom of the steps. Hungry? I hadn't even thought about that. I couldn't believe Toby was thinking up something that I had left off my how to steal a dog notes. I said, "What if he gets hungry?" Toby called out. "I've got that worked out," I lied. My mind raced, trying to think of how I could feed Willie, and what I could do to get back here every day. How long could a dog go without food? "And water," Toby said. "Dogs need water, you know. He might die if he doesn't have water." "Shut up, Toby." That's all I could think to say, and it did the trick. He shut up. But it didn't help me feel any better. I tied the string to the doorknob and said goodbye to Willie. Then I led the way back through the weeds and brush and briar toward the road. I was glad Toby was quiet as we walked, because I had a lot of thinking to do, about food and water for Willie, about what I had done, about what to do next. But it was hard to get all my thoughts all straightened out with my insides kicking up like they were. That tapping feeling was turning into full-on banging.